There we are. We are live.
Yay!
Yay! Hi, everyone. Um, I am Ann Mitchell, and this is Kathy, and we are the two reading teachers. Yay! Um, I am the owner of if you're new here and you have never been here, this is our first live video we've done together. So be patient. um,
Be kind.
be kind. My name's Ann Mitchell, and I'm Castle Rock online reading tutor in Colorado, and I've been tutoring reading for a long time. Tutoring in the community since 2013 and online since 2017. So, I'm a previous special educator, and I normally work with elementary age kids. So, I will let Kathy introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kathy Cousineau, and I live in Massachusetts, and I tutor online. I have kids that are all over the country, and I actually have another one that's also in England. So I get kind of confused with the time zone difference thing. I made a handy dandy chart so I could figure out like what time, when are we meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it gets kind of confusing. Um, so I previously worked in a city's district where I was a learning disability specialist, and I worked with the most severely dyslexic students in the city, and I had my own self-contained classroom for them. And then the universe knocked me on my butt, and literally, and because I fell at school, and just the
Oh,
thought of going back um, to the negativity and to just having to teach to the test was not something that I wanted to do. So I started my own online business, and right now it's exploding, which is very exciting.
mhm.
Um, well, it's been exploding for a while, but
Yeah, I think COVID turned us into exploding. I
yeah,
don't know. Everybody going online. So online tutoring is becoming very popular.
yeah. And I mean, I could have done the in-person tutoring, or I could have like done it over the summer, but I don't like it as much as I do the online, because when you're online doing the online tutoring, you have millions of tools that you can access at a snap of your finger. And if I was doing in person, I would have to go to try to find that activity.
Hmm.
But right now, it's just easy. If a kid is having a problem with what a word means, I can Google and show a picture. And if that doesn't, then I'll do something else. Also, it helps with kids that have attention issues, because if I can see, I'll watch them on how they're reacting, and I can switch to another activity. Same concept, different website or different place, but it keeps them focused better, I feel.
Hmm.
But I like to be able to pull up all the different resources that I have, and I'm pretty quick at doing it. So,
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, being online, the child is either in their own little room or in their house by themselves. They're not getting looked at the library or somewhere else when you have to work for in a like
place.
a tutoring center or something like that. You might run into somebody
Hmm.
So, oh, he's getting tutored.
Hmm.
So they're more comfortable at home, and their parents are usually right around the corner if something happens.
Hmm.
So since everything is online, we chose to develop a reading support for homeschool families. And it's not just the traditional homeschool families. It's anybody that's needs reading support at home. We just call it Homeschool Families because you're at home. So we have developed a Facebook group, and it's right here. It's just the reading support for homeschool families right on Facebook. If you want to go there and check us out, we'd love for you to join. We're just doing some lives, and we'll be doing a webinar soon. And everything is free. So just come on over and join us. So today we are all about sight words. Sight words are tricky for even me sometimes.
Exactly.
They are not as hard to teach. Some people do it differently than others. I just wrote a couple of them, like for and from. And if anybody knows about like closed syllables, this doesn't follow the pattern, does it? Because a closed syllable makes a short ah sound. So it wouldn't follow the pattern. But the OR is an R sounding, so for. And same with from. The O doesn't sound like a short vowel sound. So sometimes people now I've seen putting hearts over the O because it's different, and it will let the kids know that it's going to sound different. But to put a heart, it's kind of a positive visual. But they could sound out the FR and the M, and every word has a vowel. So put the heart over the vowel, and you can do it that way. Another way that I thought of course, is the cookie sheet and the magnetic letters.
Mhm.
I use this with my grandson all the time. So that is another way. Do you have any suggestions, Kathy?
Oh, I have a lot of suggestions. What I did with a lot of my kids, I mean, I tried to make it as fun as possible and as multisensory as possible. I think my favorite one for, like, I would have you take shaving cream and you put it on the desk, which number one, it was great because it cleaned the desks. And then number two, it made the room smell good. So that was a good thing. But then they can practice, like you can say a word and then they can spell it. You could write a word, or they could spell out a word and have another kid read it. But that was a lot of fun to practice. I mean, you can practice spelling in the shaving cream. You can practice handwriting. You can have them answer questions. I mean, they love it because it's also cool because if you put a whole bunch in your hand and then you scrape it, then your hand's cool. They like that part. Another way to practice spelling them would be to use, what do I use? Pipe cleaners. And they form the letters. And because they had to really think, so they'd have the card of the word, and then they would have to make the shapes. And it takes longer to make it out of a pipe cleaner. Another fun way was glue. You use Elmer's glue and you put it on a card and you'd make the word on the card and you let it dry. And then they'd have to close their eyes and trace the letter. And it was just another way. I mean, of course, it would be the same words that they're working on, and you would only take it away when they were solid with it. So
Another way is Play-Doh. Kids love Play-Doh.
oh my gosh, they love that stuff. Actually,
I mean, the homemade stuff you're able to put in your mouth, but
mhm.
the store-bought stuff, and you're able to form your letters again and smush it up and do it again. So, yeah.
And then you could actually use what do you call those things? Not templates. Cookie cutters
Yeah.
too. And because they're having to say it often, so like, okay, if they're doing from, they would do, so they're searching for the F, and then they're saying it in their mind because they're going F, and they're looking for the F, meaning if they were doing cookie cutters. So they just enjoy doing anything that's fun. Like I used to have these boxes. Another good way, you know, those plastic canvas to make plastic canvas out of.
Like the pulling the yarn through. Yeah.
So what I used to do is I used to cut it up so they have, it was just the size of like a post-it. No, not a post-it. No, index card. And then what they would do is they'd put the paper over it and then trace right on it. So it did a little bump thing. So it made it multi-sensory. It's just a fun way to practice.
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm tutoring, here's an example of a word. You would say a word, and then they would have to trace TOO2. So they would have to spell it. Say, that's what the dots are. So the dots, they would say the word, and then they would spell it, and then they would say it again. When I'm in my tutoring session, they have to write it. So they not only have to trace it with their finger, say it, trace the letters with their finger, and then write it. So a lot of multisensory in our tutoring going on. Even though it's online, you can still touch a screen or touch a card, a paper, or even go TOO2 down your arm, or big sky writing the letters. Get them big. So yeah,
They like to type in the chat too.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please let us know. Write them down, and we can get back to you.
And there's tons of lists of the sight words that you can find. There's the Dolce, there's the Fry. It depends on they have them different age level lists. Could also go to the most frequently common words used.
Frequently used.
Yeah, but they're the ones that you can't sound out.
Yeah.
No matter what strategy you have, it's not going to work with most of these words.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, but though I wouldn't say that those are true sight words.
Yeah, and now with the science of reading becoming popular and the younger grade teachers being more informed about dyslexia and how to teach reading within the school setting, it's, there's snap words and kindergarten level words, all kinds of different lists. And but as long as, some of them you can sound out and some of them you can't. So I think it's a myth of having to memorize all of them, really, because some of them aren't really sounding out. They can sound it out, but they have to know it quickly.
And that's the thing, the fluency has to flow. But a lot of the times with when you're reading a passage, you can figure it out, what those words are. Sometimes you can't, but to spell them is another problem, other than just reading them.
Yep. Okay, so like we mentioned earlier, we'll be having a webinar probably sooner than later. So we will bring that up and post it and let you know when it is. And it's about the 5 pillars of reading, what you need to know as a parent to help your child with reading. And I think that's about it for today. Okay. It was nice to meet everybody. Look us up on the Facebook, the Reading Support for Homeschool Families. And again, our names are Ann Mitchell and Kathy Cousineau. Okay. All right. Thank you for bearing with us in our first live broadcast. So you will probably see a few more coming up now and here and there. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me get my mouse.